Thank you, Mr. DeJoy, for coming before our committee. I think, as it's very clear here, Americans need to be able to trust you and that they can rely on you to get their election mail not only sent, but processed effectively, and then, of course, after that, accurately counted. And I know you're not a part of that part, but it's got to get there first. Earlier this month, a group of state election officials submitted a letter to you expressing concerns about that process for the mailed ballots for the general election. Addition to staff training and delivery times, they noted that they had not seen significant improvement or concerted efforts to remediate their concerns. Now, I appreciate also in your response, which I have both of these, their letter and then yours, that you committed to work more closely together with state and local officials leading up to the election. So in response to that, what specific actions have you taken to ensure that your staff are accessible to our state and local election officials on the ground in places like Iowa to be able to quickly address those concerns?
So thank you, Congresswoman. First off, the intensity of the interaction on the vote by mail from election mail officials under an extreme amount of pressure, and I recognize that. It's one of the reasons I stood up this special group 4 years ago that stayed year-round. We used to put them up for elections and then put them down to expand the interaction, to explain our processes, to get feedback, and so forth. And then we have 50 people, 50 regional managers that interact with election officials. I don't know. I mean, I am a very accessible Postmaster General.
Yeah, you're here today, which we appreciate. A phone
call would have helped instead of a letter to the press, because we've had a good working relationship with those. I got on the phone with them after. And we have scheduled meetings. I'm going to meet with the whole, with a larger part of that group. But I also, recognize that we're not perfect. We're not perfect in communication. We're not perfect it's not a perfect system.
So,
and
for our people back home, so, just from this is about a relationship building that effort so that they can know that those concerns are being heard, number one, but also acted upon. So, are you, as far as these trainings, are you encouraging that so that people know, hey, we have a system to run our concerns up this food chain if they do identify problems with mail-in ballots? Are there going to be processes in place to ensure that USPS staff are not only responsive, that they're notified, and that these issues are dealt with in a timely manner?
Thank you, Congresswoman. Processes and systems are being intensely managed now and intensely reviewed. But to your question about the communication, we're a large organization going through a lot of change, and as intensity builds, sometimes we're the last to the party. Right, and we need because of our functions. I have, after my conversation with those election officials, I convened the whole group that is in the nationwide election mail, our group. I convened a meeting of the 50 state people that are out there. I reviewed all their interactions. We had a review. I've added more executives to that particular team. I set up 2 meetings a week with them where we are analyzing the feedback and the complaints, and it's coming up through a larger executive team, and we're engaging in trying to be. However, we are proactive, but we need to be more proactive and not just wait for issues to come to us to have dialogue with these people, but to be proactive and express and building confidence.
Yeah. And you talked earlier about standard procedures, right, which I understand, and every election law is different in state to state, and I know you included that in your testimony, and I think just as we're having the bigger conversation here about process, making sure that there is a very, very clear process. The relationship is part of it, and I appreciate those conversations are happening, but making sure that our people know, hey, we're keeping an eye on this. You have a standard process in place to not only deal with it in a timely fashion, but also remediate it and make sure it never happens again. Understanding that you are going through some of these major systematic changes, people don't want an excuse of a change. They want to make sure that their ballot's going to be there in time, right? And I think that that's what, when we're dealing with these people back home, I just would encourage you to be sensitive to that. I'd be happy to follow up with your office about working with our Iowa folks so that we can continue to keep an eye on that in the next couple of weeks to ensure that that follow-through is actually happening.